Hello, Brad here, just to say we're super proud that the Friday 5pm podcast is sponsored by the Malt Miller, the UK's best home brew store.
We use the Malt Miller for all of our homebrew experiments, as well as tapping them up for advice and binging on their awesome YouTube channel all the time.
That's why whenever we release a homebrew video, we put a recipe kit live on the Malt Miller, so you can brew with the exact same amazing ingredients that we did. The same ingredients used by pro brewers.
So alongside the Malt Miller's nitro-flushed hops, cold-stored yeast and milled-to-order malts, you can pick up recipe kits for our 5 Points Best Bitter, Russian River West Coast IPA, and now the fastest beer in the world, a hazy session IPA that goes from grain to glass in less than 48 hours.
Sign up to their newsletter at tinyurl.com/Malt Miller to get 5% off your first order. With the Malt Miller's amazing customer service and Johnny's 48-hour recipe, you could order the ingredients on a Monday and be drinking the beer by the weekend.
Speaking of which, it's Friday.
It's 5pm.
So enjoy this week's Friday 5pm podcast. It's Friday, it's 5pm, / it's Monday, it's 8am, / it's whatever it is now, because we've just completed a tasting of 8-ish% dark lagers, the Doppelbock,
gang, yeah.
and then decided, probably slightly inebriated, to do something entirely new, which is to video our podcast.
What could go wrong? So if you're listening to this, go and watch this on the Craft Beer channel. And if you're watching this, go and subscribe to our podcast.
Well, you have to search for The Bubble.
Yeah, The Bubble.
But it is called the Friday 5pm, which is something I'm looking at. I don't know if you change the name of your podcast if something bad happens, like a wormhole opens up.
Well, nothing bad's happened, but we've got Friday 5pm, which is me and you, isn't it? And then we've got The Bubble, which is sort of like looking outside of the bubble.
Yeah, but we haven't done one for nearly 2 years now.
So we're not doing much looking outside of the bubble.
I think the bubble's burst.
Maybe the bubble's burst.
Possibly the bubble's burst.
Maybe.
And now it's the Friday 5pm.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely the Friday 5pm.
Yeah, or the Monday 8am.
Yes.
I think eventually we're gonna spiral out. Spiral is probably the right word. Into one we record on Mondays, just as proof that we have bad Mondays too. Because everyone thinks we have the best job in the world.
Yeah.
And it's all right, particularly at times like this where my cheeks are ruddy. I'm staring into the lovingly cross-eyed eyes of Brad after
my eyes are not
shoot
crossed.
day.
I've spent a lot of money making sure my eyes are not crossed over the years.
I can't say I can't say this stuff anymore either because we're recording this and people can see that you're staring at two separate points, not one.
I like two. Actually, I don't even know what colour my eyes are. Oh, that's very bright there. I'm just going to do that. You told me not to go up to the camera, Johnny, but I did it. I just did it.
I think I've just painted my bathroom that colour. The colour of your eyes.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
In my honour.
Exactly that, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, well, I was just struggling to know which paint, and I was like, I'm picking up Brad this morning. Oh, I'll go for his delicious mix of bluey green.
Well, you had greeny blue.
Yeah.
And then you changed it to bluey green.
No, other way around. I bet
Sorry.
you can't remember what you just said.
Yeah. You had... Fuck. It's more green than blue now.
It's more green than blue. Yeah.
But it was more blue than green
It
before.
was, yeah.
But it is quite a subtle change.
I think it feels warmer. I think it feels cosier.
Do you know, when I had a wee, Johnny, you've moved the whole sort of structure of the room round. The locality of the sink is now on the opposite wall.
It is, yeah.
So it baffled my mind a little bit. But what I noticed when I was having a wee was that you'd left your roller and roller
tray, yeah,
full of paint. And
No.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't be so careless.
Maybe not. Well, no, I had quite a lot of paint.
It's dry.
Is it dry?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, are you saying, did you get some kind of Tourettean urge to stamp in the...
A man does a lot of DIY. I was like, you got to put that shit in a plastic bag.
You're speaking to a guy that's repainted his bathroom 3 times since he moved in a year and a half ago. I do a lot of painting.
That's pretty good.
Because as a family, we're quite indecisive.
I don't know.
I also quite enjoy painting. It's a very therapeutic process.
People say it has kind of meditative qualities. I just find it quite dull.
Oh. Well, no, I put some music on. I get rollering. People say that watching paint dry is boring. I think it's the only time that and driving is where I stop worrying.
Yeah.
You know?
What kind of music are you putting on, Johnny?
Well, today when I was painting, I was listening to Winter Sleep.
Okay.
who are a Canadian, Nova Scotian, I guess, alt rock band.
Okay. And there was. I mean, like, I'm not going to go there yet, but there was a Canadian beer in the Belgian
In this
Tripels,
week's
right?
video, yeah.
But,
Embarrassed myself there, big time.
I've recently discovered a band which is not my sort of music at all, but they're called Turnstile, and they're sort of like punk,
The name rings a bell.
but they sound a bit like the Pixies.
right?
Kind of, they're quite
Well,
aggressive.
that is your style.
Well, Pixies are totally my style. Stuff like this, sort of grungy stuff. But it's kind of like the Pixies meets Sting on vocals, which is kind of mad. Because I mean, Sting's a dickhead, but
Is he?
yeah, Sting's a dick.
I mean, he's up his own,
Dick.
but I feel like he was he? No, what was he in Friends? No, he wasn't in Friends.
Sting was in Friends.
No,
way.
I think they pretended his wife was.
Who's Sting's wife?
Well, I don't
Probably
know
a
who she is
supermodel, I
in
imagine.
real life. There was an episode of Friends where Russ's son falls out with Sting's son at playgroup as if...
Oh wow.
This is the classic disconnect in Friends between what people can afford and...
Yeah, like the
they
giant
did for a
sort of
job.
mansion flat that they all live in and all this kind of
And,
stuff.
yeah, supposedly... I don't know. I don't want to talk about Friends. I don't know why.
Well,
I
I'll
went down
tell you
that
what,
road.
Turnstile, I've only been listening to them a couple of weeks. My girlfriend absolutely hates it. She
Right.
says this is the worst music I've ever played.
Oh, wow.
But it sounds like really gets me going.
All right.
I'm enjoying it. This new Turnstile album I think is great.
Okay.
Give it a listen. I found out about them on Tiny Desk Recordings, which is a YouTube thing that I love. Which is, it's lots of different eclectic artists playing music live in the studios of, I can't remember what his name is, but it's like PBS, but about radio. PBR, not PBR, that's Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah.
But
Different thing.
it's like PBS, but it's like radio version. Can't remember what it's called. Drunk Johnny.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad you found a band that your girlfriend hates.
She hates them.
Everything I listen
I
to,
don't-
my wife hates.
I don't think she's ever said she hates a band as much as she said she hates this band.
Wow.
The other day she said, I'm going out to lunch. We work in the same room. And she said, I'm going out to lunch now. And I was like, okay, see you in a bit. She was like, do you want to come? No. I've got to just work through. And then
Put Turnstile on full
I
volume.
thought she'd gone. So I took my headphones off and just blasted it. And she came back and told me off for blasting it. And I was like,
proper like Michael Jackson start
Yeah.
black and white, like turn this up.
yeah. I was like, whoa. I was like, what do you mean? You know, you were going out. Why can't I listen to this loud? Anyway, that reminds me of I bumped into our friend Seb, the brewer.
Oh yeah.
He's moved to different breweries now.
Where's he at now?
So he was at. So he moved from.
We met him at
Wild.
Wildcard. Then he went to Hackney Wick.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. He went to Howling Hops,
Howling Hops.
and now he's moved somewhere else.
Go on, lad.
So apparently Howling Hops, a little bit of trouble. So they've
Oh really?
they've kind of like slimmed down their.
Damn. It's
their
everybody
stuff.
right now, isn't it?
It's everybody. Cost of
Yeah.
living, mate.
Yeah.
Cost of living. But I think he's doing okay. But I saw him out in Deptford, my favourite haunt. Seb lives over that way. And he was with his sort of skater mates. And they were outside Hot Burns Black, one of my favourite little haunts. And his buddy, I can't remember his name, quite young, probably half my age.
Just quickly for clarification,
on.
Seb is who we did our collaboration at Wildcard
Yeah,
with when
sorry.
we built the mobile brewery.
That is probably, I need to explain that. His mate was playing sort of doom metal.
Right.
Do you know about doom metal and
yeah.
stuff? So he was saying, he was telling me that they'd had a preacher come past. Because you get a lot of street preachers on Deptford High
In that
Street.
lovely gentrified
Well, it's not
station
that,
bit.
it's not all gentrified. That bit is a little bit gentrified. But
That's where you were.
that was where we were.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was like, his mate was telling me that they got rid of the preacher by blasting
Doom.
doom metal. I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, that's probably really aggressive. Well, I mean, doom's not aggressive.
Doom's more just disorientating, I'd say.
I mean, I quite like desert stoner rock and doom.
my
and
God,
stuff
what's
like
Desert Stoner?
that. Like Caius,
Okay.
like Queens of the Stone Age, that kind of stuff.
yeah.
It comes out of Caius, and before that, like,
I feel like if
Doom
a
is
preacher
like...
can't stand the pop grunge stylings of Queens of the Stone Age.
Well, I mean, sorry, that's an evolution away from... I mean, it is still desert rock, but it comes from Caius, and then before that, probably, it's doomier, heavier stuff like Sleep, etc., which is what I think they were playing to blast out the street preacher. Oh. But they were sat around, skater punk dudes, sat around drinking beers on the street, beautiful sunshine, and then blasting out this doom. I was like, this is a pretty good day. I'm enjoying this.
Gee, I don't know if I've discussed this on the podcast before or anywhere with the Craft Beer channel, but my dissertation at university was on the emotional impacts of listening to music in different urban settings.
Huh. Yeah, okay.
And I have never considered the idea of doom metal on a sunny day in Deptford.
It's pretty good. Tell you what.
It's a clash, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd be more, I don't know, in that situation, I'm trying to think what Deptford would listen to. Probably reggae, semi-ironically, is how I'd see Deptford.
No, it's pretty cool. I mean, I'm not saying reggae's not cool. And we were opposite Buster Manis, which is a Jamaican cocktail bar, which is great.
Maybe that's where I get it from. I do remember, actually, there is a Jamaican restaurant on that. We ate there during a break in a shoot one day, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this is literally the most. I think it's statistically the most multicultural street in London, and it's got a couple of breweries along there, which is also nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if this is your first introduction to our podcast, it's very much gone as it usually does, in that we haven't really mentioned
what we're up
beer.
to and beer.
Yeah. So this is a rare occurrence. So usually we record the Friday 5 PM podcast separately.
We do.
In our separate homes, with a beer in our hands over essentially the phone. Today we've had a shoot day. So we filmed the next in our series about Trappist beer.
Yeah.
We filmed a short video explaining files.
Yeah.
Which is a new and exciting set of flavour compounds we're looking to get into beer. Or should I say, unbound into beer. And then we drank, 5 8% lagers. We did our Doppelbock video, slightly late seasonally.
Was it only 5? I felt like there were more than 5 beers on the table. I think it was 5.
Maybe the amount of beers you drink, you should times the ABV by the amount of bottles on the table.
Yeah, I
think
so.
We're at about 40.
40.
So Brad and I are here together, and we thought we'd film it because we're thinking about turning this into a video podcast.
Yeah, probably not in the same location
by
normally.
One of the worst humans on earth, Joe Rogan, but he has made a huge success of it by, I don't know, being a vaccine denialist misogynist.
You know what? I've never listened to the Joe Rogan podcast, but I get served a lot of Joe Rogan shorts on YouTube.
Right.
Which they're pretty wild. Like, there's some wild shit on those things.
Yeah, I mean, he
goes in deep.
A contrarian.
Yeah, I think so.
He's
up to all kinds of fuckery. He's just like, I'll get on some nutters,
Yeah.
and then we'll go deep dive into some crazy town stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's Fox News podcast basically, but with
Is he very right wing then? I don't really know.
No, he
is he. When you say contrarian, he's just like I'm gonna.
He'd like to say. I think. I mean, I've only listened to some of it out of pure...
Yeah.
You know, I spend all the days that I'm not filming or researching or writing the book, I spend my days trying to make our YouTube channel bigger through strategies. And so you have to look at the people that do it extraordinarily well.
Uh-huh.
So I've watched some of that. I've looked at what he does. He's a shock jock. He would claim that... I wouldn't say he'd claim he's like impartial, but he claims he believes in free speech. So it'd be like, I'll have Bernie Sanders and Hitler on my podcast.
Yes, yeah.
The thing is, though, he's definitely not partisan. He's very, very much towards Hitler. Not saying that he is crazy right wing, but saying that he enjoys that end of the shock jock.
Yeah.
Not Bernie Sanders going, hey, why don't we pay waiting staff well? Which is a much better form of extremism. I mean, it shouldn't be extremism, but it is in this world. So that's how he gets his views. But also through doing a video podcast, you know what it means is he can make, because his channel is essentially shorts, I think.
On YouTube.
Yeah, and
just
you're
like
being served this
bites.
because you hit that demographic of like over 30, under 50.
I'm a bit worried what demographic I'm in.
It's just under 30, over 50 white middle class guy is going to be served Joe Rogan because his politics are probably just a shade to the right of that.
Maybe. It's worrying. It's worrying.
Not to say that your politics are that way, because I know they're not. As we're going to discuss when we drink the beer we're going to drink.
Yeah. He had a guy that was a Navy SEAL that was, I feel like he was talking all kinds of bullshit. Yeah. And he was saying that he basically invented an Iron Man suit when he was in the Navy SEALs. And like all these like fantastical stories. And that he had budgets for missions that were like in the billions and stuff. And I was like, this guy's totally weird, man. Like he's talking all kinds of twaddle.
This is the thing, and it's
a mouthpiece for like
without
lunatics.
comparing Joe Rogan to the BBC. This is what the BBC in the UK struggles with. It's this idea that being impartial
means you have to air lunatics.
Well, it shouldn't do, but it does. So the BBC will get a climate denier on, even though there's clearly global heating. Because it feels like it has to bounce somebody going, there is a global climate crisis. So they'll bring on the dude who says, yes, I invented Iron Man. And they'll also bring on somebody that says, that's not a thing.
Yeah.
But of course, you've now given 50-50 weight to an argument that is clearly nonsense. So,
impartiality for you folks.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a tricky, it's not, it's not a well-weighted seesaw, impartiality. And
well-weighted seesaw.
Well-weighted seesaw.
I like that expression. Yeah, very nice.
So I've tried to talk about beer and ended up talking about Joe Rogan. While we're on that, let's talk about the sad bits of today, and then we'll get onto the video, which somebody said was funny. We talked about this a couple of podcasts ago, saying that I wasn't funny. Well, not saying that wasn't funny, just nobody ever says I'm funny.
Oh, okay.
And it burned a little bit. And then you said, I think it was last week's podcast, you said something funny in Czech Republic. And I was like, what, just one thing?
I was joking. I was mocking.
3 days, and I said one thing that brought a smile.
That was me being funny, Johnny. I didn't mean it.
Oh, right. That was your funny
That was just my burn. That was just a bit of a burn.
So it's been a week in terms of mixing politics and beer. We started with last week in the UK with the UK government trying to remove trans rights from... I can't even really say it. Trying to remove trans rights essentially from the Equality Bill, which makes me want to punch a wall. Yeah. So as a result of that absolute transphobia and hate, we're going to drink a beer from the wonderful Queer Brewing. A friend of mine, Lily, an amazing woman, an amazing brewer, an incredible writer, a great photographer, a wonderful potter. And also, she went to art school and did, I think she did like fine art and painting. She's just one of those people who...
Polymathy.
Just everything they touch turns to gold. And she's done a collaboration with Duration. It's a cold IPA, which was not a style we loved, but I've already had a can of this and it's pretty good. Before that, we were drinking the Tripel from Duration, which we'll talk about.
I liked it. I enjoyed it very much.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, right, have you heard the furore about the gollywogs in the pub?
No.
So there is a pub in Kent, Gray's in Kent.
Yeah.
That...
I thought Gray's was in Essex. Gray's in Kent.
Oh, God. Oh, it might be in Essex. Yeah, maybe it's southwest Essex.
Sort of
Southeast Essex.
I'm from Kent.
They join up together, pretty much, around the edge of London, right? They're basically the outskirts of London.
I don't know about that. It's above. Essex is above, Kent is below.
Yeah, but they join at the estuary, don't they?
They join at the butthole of...
the butthole of London.
The taint of London, which is the Thames.
Talking of the butthole of
the Thames
London.
taint.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It is. Sorry, it is. One side is Essex.
Yeah,
of the taint,
Kent,
and the other side is Kent.
And this pub is on one of those sides. I can't quite remember which. Now this is a pub that was displaying a selection of gollywogs, and they had endless complaints from 2018.
Yeah.
And eventually, it's hit national news with the people that own it. It's a couple. Firstly saying, like, it's not illegal to do this, then the police going, actually, we're going to confiscate this and investigate you. Then people started digging out endless racist posts from both of them. Then it turns out there's a photo of the guy wearing a Britain First t-shirt.
Wow.
To which the wife responded to the press. She said, he's not affiliated with Britain First. It was just convenient to wear the t-shirt at the time. Huh? Now, unless he's like, I don't know, in a restaurant, spills a lot of barbecue sauce on him, like I did that time at Beer and Burger.
Oh,
that was That was an event.
Explosive.
And then, the only T-shirt was like a guy went, here's one. I can't see any situation where you'd have a Britain First T-shirt to hand and go, this is the most convenient T-shirt I can find.
I think if you're wearing a T-shirt, then you fundamentally agree with the T-shirt that you're wearing, because you're not gonna put something. I mean, a T-shirt is about the most bold move you can have, like a T-shirt with words on it, in your wardrobe.
It's front and centre, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I follow an Instagram account. I think it's called Good T-shirts.
Good name.
And they're like really.
Like really bad T-shirts.
Yeah, they're like really bad, like really, really offensive.
Oh, right. T-shirts that go hard.
I think when I say offensive, not like racist or anything, but like really fucking weird stuff, and like things that are like potentially broken English or like lost in translation stuff.
Right.
Like lols kind of things. And some sort of lewd stuff as well. But I just enjoy it from a sort of purely graphic design perspective.
Oh, so it's all beautifully, sillily designed.
No, I mean, they're horrible. They're like in Comic Sans and whatever, but it's all like ridiculous stuff. But yeah, I mean, if the guy's wearing that, I mean, I don't even know what Britain First is. Is that like National Front kind of type thing?
Yeah.
So it's like they sort of rebrand themselves to be different things
it's
throughout
the
time.
BMP or
Christ.
Or all of this stuff. Anyway, the reason it's very significant to me, obviously it's a pub and we should not visit that pub. The interesting thing came with the fact that it has been, at the last decade, like the last 6 years, it's been, for that local region, the camera pub of the year.
Oh, that's not good.
Which means that camera
not a good
members,
confluence of things, no. That's
camera members have been going in and giving it the awards anyway. And in particular, one of the reviews mentions, it's called like a collection of soft toys. Vintage soft toys. So they know what's going on in this pub.
Maybe don't mention it if you're, that I think, you're implicit in the crime, I think, if you're like highlighting a collection of soft toys.
Yeah, well, I mean, even if you don't mention, like the fact that they gave the award means they're complicit, and people say keep politics out of beer. The thing is, it's not the people complaining about the dolls that are bringing politics into beer. It's very much the pub owners that are collecting racist artifacts, essentially. So I wanted to bring this up on the podcast because I want to make sure that everyone understands the Craft Beer Channel position on this, which is do not support these goddamn businesses. But also I wanted to both call out and I guess say well done to Cameron, that they took a while, but they did come out and say, we don't understand how this has happened. We are speaking to the regional camera branch.
Yeah.
And we will ensure this doesn't happen again. And I really hope that all references to that pub are wiped from their website, and this is the Craft Beer Channel calling for that to happen.
Yeah. And this is, I don't think this is about being particularly leftist or like woke or anything like that. It's just about like being a decent human. I think everyone deserves the right to go into an environment and feel safe and comfortable and not feel persecuted or anything like that.
Yeah.
So like this is kind of total bullshit. Yeah.
Exactly that.
Not cool.
Yeah. So, and then I also saw on Twitter there's Twice Brewed, a brewery and a pub that have some pretty horrendously misogynistic artwork in their bathrooms in an otherwise very lovely pub, and I saw somebody call that out, and I heard about what was actually involved in this toilet, and it is horrendous. In particular, it is championing the recent situations with Johnny Depp, and it makes me genuinely upset to think that pubs think that this is okay. These are public spaces in which people are supposed to feel welcome, and yet horrible jokes like that, horrible racist dolls like that are still common in the UK.
Yeah, it's weird. I think when we travel around the world, we're very lucky to travel as much as we do. It's interesting to see different people's sort of values on what is okay to like make a joke about. I know that we've been to sort of places relatively recently where it's been a little bit close to sailing a bit too close to the wind.
It's still pervasive, and people say that, this whole notion, I even had some socks that said good people drink good beer.
Yeah.
If I could burn those socks, I would. I think I've lost them. I think they've got holes in, so I'd bin them. There's still so much work to do, and all I can say is call it out on Twitter, call it out on Facebook, whatever it is, call it out. In particular, you can do it online. I have found much more success by approaching people personally. so you send those messages. Personally, because people respond more to, if it's public outcry, people get defensive. If it's private outcry, people might respond, in a conversational manner and go, "Oh, I thought it was like this," and you can go, "Really not," and then you can take it public if they don't. But anyway, please do buy Queer Brewing beer. It's delicious. This transatlanticism, which I don't know whether it's on purpose a reference to Death Cab for Cutie and one of my favourite albums, but whether it is or not, I love the fact that it did, and I love this beer. It's dry, it's West Coasty, it's full of tropical aroma. It's a very good beer, and cold IPA still isn't quite for me. I still just prefer a West Coast IPA. But I do appreciate this is a well-made beer with lots of lovely hop notes.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Have you got a beer for the week?
I knew you were going to ask me that. The weekend...
But you didn't prepare.
Well, no, I haven't drunk that much beer. The weekend I was in Essex, and I found myself going to like a huge antique centre, I guess. It's called Battles Bridge.
Wow.
And
so much more dramatic as a name than I'd expect for an antique.
I think there's like hundreds of antique traders there. It's definitely been featured in sort of Bargain Hunt and all that. No, not Antiques Roadshow, but like, it's like Antiques Road Trip and Bargain Hunt and all these sort of things. And they've got, so this is like an antique centre, yeah? There's 2 pubs on site.
That's my kind of antique centre.
So there's one, I think one's called The Barge, which is beautiful. It's like, it looks like a sort of Tudor barn. It's beautiful from the outside, and it's very nice inside. And then you go to the bar, and they've got one of the most horrific things I've ever seen in my life, Johnny. They've got a special pump for Corona beer, and it's like a sort of glass vial with, sort of amber liquid flowing through it. I'm not even sure it's beer, but it's like a sort of lava lamp of Corona going through it, and then on the side of it, it's got this like weird wire basket full of limes.
Yeah, man, that was their big launch. That's beer in the pipe.
I've never seen it anywhere else, only in the Barge.
Oh, I've seen it a couple of times.
So I got
and
one.
Was it?
I got one of those. No, I didn't get one of those.
Was it? Did you see it being poured into? So they've made Corona glassware that looks like the bottle sawn off.
Yeah, I mean the glassware is pretty cool, to be honest.
Oh yeah, there's no denying it.
I think they've got great branding, Corona. Despite the
I mean the beer. So when we put Corona in my blind taste test, it is terrible lager, but it's somehow alluring. There's something about Corona, and that's why it's so wildly successful compared to others. I don't know what it is.
It's weird. There's some stuff going on with that. But anyway, I went there and I was like, well, I'm not going to drink that. And then we went to, I think it's called like the Green Bottle or something. I don't know what it's called, but it's a micro pub that's like very, very traditional. It's got loads of cask lines. I had some Adnams. I can't remember which the lager was, but it's very good.
The Adnams lager?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's Adnams lager.
Name's also escaped me.
Very effervescent.
Begins with a K. Cobalt or something?
I can't remember what it's called, but I had a pint of that, and we sat around, and I was looking at all the memorabilia on the walls, and I was drawn to a photograph for a newspaper clipping of Danny Dyer pouring a pint in this micro pub, and it was like it was saying about how everybody in Essex loved Danny Dyer. He's not. I don't think he's from Essex. He went to RADA, right? But anyway, everybody in Essex loved Danny Dyer.
You go to RADA if you're from Essex.
He's not from Essex. I think he might be from London, like myself. But so it was like Danny Dyer. Locals love Danny Dyer or something, and he's like literally standing there going, like posing for this photo. But then in a very small photo way down was Keith Lemon in one of his massive hats. And apparently he'd been there on the same day as well. On
same day?
Yeah, like a bargain hunt type situation. They'd gone to Battlesbridge together. But I was like, he got such a minimal second billing over Danny Dyer. And I would have thought that like Keith Lemon is probably as culturally important as Danny Dyer. And that's a statement I never thought I'd say.
I mean, I'd argue they're both irrelevant.
I mean, a lot of what Keith Lemon has done over the years is definitely a bit punchy and a bit on the borders of like what's acceptable now. But
does he? I don't even know that.
Well, like Bo Selector and stuff. Like he
Right, yeah.
He
yeah,
sort
the
of
cold light day
he
thinking
did
about that
like
one.
kind of Craig David and said that he had a piss sack, and that he had a pet bird called Kez, and all this stuff. So he like basically said that Craig David
Was the kid from Kez?
needed like a sort of not a colostomy bag but a piss sack. So it was like
What?
Yeah, it was pretty weird. Like if you're not
People don't do impressions of that. They just go Craig
Mate.
David.
It was it was pretty weird. There's some weird shit on that program. I mean, I did enjoy Voice Selector back in the day, but it was definitely pretty out there. But apparently Craig David moved to Miami because people used to shout him, "Where's your piss sack?"
What?
Yeah, apparently, yeah.
This is
It's totally
new
weird, right?
information to me.
Yeah. But do you know what, Johnny? He took that conceptual piss sack and he turned it into gold because he moved to Miami and now he's fucking big in America. Yeah, so
His music or his DJ?
yeah, his DJing and his music I think is big, and maybe his DJing more than his music. But he's like a big guy in Miami.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've learned so much. I mean, it's going in one ear and straight out the other.
Of course.
For the next 5 minutes, I'm going to know so much about Craig David I didn't know before.
Yeah. So I grew up near this. Well, I think people say Croydon is the spiritual home of UK garage.
Okay.
I grew up in Beckenham, which is just down the road, and I managed to avoid ever, because I'm like a grunge kid. I never went to any sort of UK garage nights, but probably if I was cool or like of my time,
Or just lived a couple of streets down.
then I would have been going to Croydon UK garage nights
Right.
back in the day, like my sister did. And
What a story. If you'd have been a different person in a different place
they would have been
at a
different.
similar-ish time.
All would have been different,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And I do enjoy sort of referential stuff around UK garage. So like People Just Do Nothing, I think is fantastic. And those guys, one of them, Seeper, now does a thing called Taste Cadets, which I champion greatly. He's doing a YouTube thing.
Have they done more stuff since
They've done a few things, yeah. I've seen which I think, considering we're entering our 10th year, Johnny, we're woefully lacking on this. They're now doing like team up collabs with like breweries and food places to basically go, oh, this is the best pizza I've ever eaten, or whatever. They've done a collab like yesterday with Yard Sale Pizza.
Right.
Which is about Alan Seeper's Kurdish background. He's Kurdish, and it's a Kurdish style pizza with some sort of bits and bobs on it.
I mean, we've teamed up with Yard Sale Pizza.
We have teamed up with
And
Yard Sale Pizza.
indeed-
That was great, actually, wasn't it?
Mr. Best Pizza himself. Of Munchie's
Yeah.
fame.
Frankie Pinello.
Yeah.
Frankie Pinello.
Yeah. Pinello.
Something like that.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't know our names either.
The pizza show on Vice.
Yeah,
That
Pizza
was
Show.
what he's famous for.
So we do that stuff.
We do that stuff every 10 years, every 5 years.
We're cool. We should talk about this week's video before this reaches an hour.
This is how long are we going? Hang on.
It doesn't tell you on these
It
new
doesn't
cameras.
tell you. I
Paddy.
reckon we're going at least 40 minutes.
It's quite possible.
It's a bumper
Let's talk
episode.
about this video real quickly. So,
Real quick.
this week we released a video. It was a blind taste test of Belgian triples, and indeed
Yeah.
English triples, and a Canadian triple, which sadly got disqualified because, well, I'd aged it in my garage and it didn't pan out so well. The winner was baffling.
Is that the winner there?
This is the winner. So I've got a Castile triple here. Spoiler alert! Damn it! I said spoiler too late.
Show it to the camera in case. If you're listening to this, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching this, go and subscribe to our Spotify podcast.
So Castile. So they have. Oh my god! It's a Cuvée de Chateau, which is like a big blended barrel aged quad, which I really enjoy. All their beers are quite sweet, right? And this is no different. But at 11%, with all of the esters, the glorious banana, vanilla, clove, pear, it's just a stunning beer. And I loved it. I obviously didn't know it was Castile. It was a blind taste test. But it blew me away. And And I never expected to put a Castile beer top of any taste test.
I mean, like, just being a design dickhead,
It's terrible.
that label's awful.
Yeah, it needs a real look at.
Yeah.
But as we know, particularly with Belgian beer, the good beers are rarely in good packages.
They've got a terrible problem with design and image,
Yeah.
I think, in general.
They really do.
Yeah.
But despite that, they have huge success all over the world.
So maybe they don't have a problem. We're just
Snobs.
snobs.
Yeah. So it's a really interesting video. But like the reason I love doing the blind taste test is, I did the original one, which was tasting bad macro beer, because I wanted to check whether my biases were justified about macro lager, and it turns out they mostly were. Some of them were better than I thought they'd be. But it's been really nice to slowly introduce good beer into it, because what it means is that even within good beer, we have breweries that we think are crap because we're snobs. And this was a great example of that, in that I've been to Belgium so many times and I've never asked for a Castile beer. I've always asked for, Westmalle Triple, St Bernardus Triple, those two. And those two did it extraordinarily well. One of them got the same score as the Castile, one of them got 1 point less. But this turned out to be my favourite, and I've been missing out for a decade.
I mean, there's a lot to be said for the blind taste test format, really, because you take all prejudice out of it, right? Because this looks rubbish.
Yeah. I mean, so my comment for this podcast is literally, I've chosen it because it's the only person I think that agreed with me, right? Which is always telling. So Mr. Parsnip, thank you, said, very informative videos, always CBC. I was very happy with the result. Checking my untapped check-ins as you were drinking each beer. And of all the ones I've tried, Castile was my highest rated beer. Looks like I do know something. That implies I know something, but I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, most people have avoided Castile in the comments or in the views, and those that haven't loved it. But I bet if they did a blind taste test, even if they just did, say, the top three, Castile, St Bernardus, Straffer Hendrick, maybe throw Westmalle in there, I really do think most people will pick either Castile or Westmalle. And they'll pick Westmalle if they like it drier, more herbal, more complex, and they'll pick Castile if they like it sweeter, fruitier. You will 100% pick Castile if you did that. But there's lots of people that quite legitimately will choose Westmalle. And I can't say this enough, I never would have chosen Castile. It's blown my mind.
No.
Changed my perspective.
That's the genius of doing this, right? Because it takes all preconceptions and all sort of bias out of the equation. Because, like you say, it has no reputation as being the best. It's not a legendary brewery or beer.
Oh, somebody said in the comment, in the video, I said I thought it was kind of a trashy brand, and somebody else said it was trashy as well. I can't remember the exact comment. It was well put. It's just like, this is a cheap everywhere brand that the beer snobs kind of dismiss, and the people that pretend to like beer really like. But the people that pretend are probably right. It's delicious.
That is interesting, isn't it? I mean, it says a lot about beer snobbery, to be honest, and just sort of trusting your taste buds rather than your preconceptions.
Exactly.
Guess.
I mean, yeah, you looked at that one. It's a terrible label. The reputation of Castile would be like, it's a big brand.
Look, man, if I saw that in Aldi, I walked.
I
walked straight past it. I'm not even joking. I'd be like,
you'd assume that's a knockoff brand, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I'm like, it's rubbish. It's rubbish.
But it was very good beer.
It's very, very entertaining.
And there's lots of interesting stuff. It's all Belgian hops. They've got a little Belgian hop logo.
Yeah.
Brewed within the Kingdom of Belgium. There's nothing really that's sort of factual that would push you away from the beer, other than the branding and the reputation it has. And that's snobbery, right? If you dismiss something because of the branding and the reputation, that's snobbery. I've been accused of being a beer snob so many times a week in the comments, particularly since we've started doing these blind taste tests. But actually, the only time I will accept that criticism, because all I've been doing in the bad lager ones is trying to pick the best bad lager, That's quite a snobby thing to say. Macro lager is trying to pick the best macro lager. This is the first time where I've drunk something and gone, I was wrong about that brewery.
Mate, I think we can all learn from that, and we should probably all go out and buy some...
Drink some 11% triple.
Castile.
Yeah. Did you have a comment?
I had a couple of comments. As a Midwest... So this is Zach. As a Midwest American, you've opened up my beer opinions almost every time you do a tasting. But when it's a type of beer you absolutely love, we can tell.
Yeah, it was very excitable.
This type is added to the list. So there you go. I think you've opened up somebody's mind there a little bit. Jim McDowell, great stuff. Can't wait for the Imperial Stout tasting. Fuck, I don't want that. For a proper test of stamina. Do the beers end up down the sink, or is Brad in the garden finishing them off?
Well, no. I mean, most of the blind taste tests, the pouring has been done either by a friend or mostly by my wife.
Yeah.
We've done one where you were here, which was the Belgian one. And we did drink the favourites, but yeah, the crap ones went down the sink.
Chris Green said, interesting, like you, I would have skipped Castile's Tripel for another make. I'll have to try again. These blind taste tests are amazing. Please keep doing them.
I will.
So, I mean, that's the thing, like, it's like, are these things interesting or relevant? 100%. I think
Yeah, you always
massively.
worry, particularly halfway through drinking 16 triples, you go,
Yeah.
are people interested in this?
They are, because you know what, you're helping people discern from a sort of like how are you supposed to know which is the best if you're not looking at Untapped or whatever, and like, should you really believe that? I don't know.
Yeah.
And like, there's obviously like bias in different non-trendier styles and everything.
Do you know, it's an interesting thing. I mean, we have gone way over time on here, but something I've been thinking about a little bit recently is this whole idea of like influencing in beer, right? I don't think that beer influencers are that powerful in beer, because everybody just wants to try the next new thing, you know, and they might create a reputation around a brewery, but a lot of that is driven by Untapped, by Rate Beer, by Instagram algorithms and lots of different influences. It's not like I feel like there is in like, I don't know, maybe makeup on YouTube, or maybe tech on Reddit, or this kind of stuff, where one person can have a huge amount of power over what's sold and what's respected and what's kind of loved. And I find it kind of fascinating that I don't think anybody's buying stuff based off of what one person on the internet says, which is why I'm always skeptical about this idea of somebody watching this stuff that we make, particularly the blind taste test, and going, I will try that again. But I think it clearly does happen. It's certainly influencing my buying. You know, if I'm ever in a pub now, I know exactly what to buy. If I'm ever in Belgium and I'm a bit stuck on what to buy, I'll know what to buy then. If it's ever a Christmas ale, you know I'm buying some Bananas. Mm-hmm. Previously, I sort of thought it. And yeah, blind taste tests are... I wish more people were doing them on YouTube and just in general, because we're so susceptible to like groupthink. I think it's the main issue in beer. Not influencer think, it's groupthink. And that's why I've really enjoyed these blind taste tests, because yeah, I think if I'd been doing that, seeing the bottles, I'd have found a way to critique Castile. Definitely. I'd have been like, it's too sweet, it's too big, it's too vanilla-y and banana-y. But just on the sheer enjoyment of what was in the glass, it was not a clear winner, it was the winner after some afterthought.
I mean, this is what it's all about, isn't it? It's about enjoying the best beer that you can.
And removing that judgment about...
Yeah, trying to remove
if you just goddamn love Foster's, great, fine, love that beer.
You're wrong. But, yeah.
Brad says you're wrong. I mean, I say you're wrong.
That Corona pump, I nearly had a heart attack.
But this is what I'm saying. Like, I mean, Foster's, you're wrong. Corona, there's something. It was in the blind taste test. I said, like, there's something weirdly okay about this beer, and I can't put my finger on it.
Do you think is that something to do with earlier Johnny, where you drank that years ago?
I never really drank
like a fondness for it.
Now, when I was a teenager, I was drinking Guinness and real ale, really.
And the little Belgian
stubbies,
yeah.
Yeah, which I drank out of the fact that was what was in the house. Mm-hmm. You know,
stealing.
I was never really a lager drinker until I got into craft beer. Mm-hmm. The Corona thing, I think it's the depth of flavour. For those on the podcast, I'm doing the quotes. The skunking Ads.
Yeah.
I think it's probably a load
It's
of corn
so
syrup.
bad it's good, sort of thing.
Yeah.
It's got something
about
got quality. Has a distinct, pungent sort of
It's
quality.
Starship Troopers, or it's.
That's a great film.
I'm trying to think.
What are you saying about Paul Verhoeven? That's all right.
It was, from a technical perspective, a terrible film. It just became cult by.
What?
Okay, well, we'll continue this discussion off air. Anyway, the blind taste tests are amazing. You should do them with your friends. They're so much fun. I've done a couple with friends off camera as well, just to be like, which of these do you think are great, and then show them. No, it wasn't Corona. It was the bitters. They're a lot of fun to do. They teach you a lot about beer. The fact that you can get Banks's bitter, I think somebody says 89p in Lidl.
Whoa.
It's a really good bitter.
Wow.
This is the stuff I'm looking for. And I think eventually there's going to be a video in what I've learned from 10 blind taste tests.
That's a lot of teas.
A lot of teas, because there's so many lessons you can learn, particularly from a British perspective with the beers that are available. So we will do that. But anyway, we have taken enough of your Friday/Monday. This has been an epic first attempt at a video recorded podcast.
Yeah.
So we're going to bid you adieu.
Before we do, though, you should, if you're watching this, you should go ahead and subscribe to our
podcast,
to our audio podcast.
And if you're listening to this, you probably already subscribed to our podcast.
Yeah,
but we're going to look at doing this video-wise long term, because we think it's fun. We can show the beers we're drinking, so we'll have a look at that. But anyway,
I do think this is like a pretty good expression of our personalities as well. So this is like unedited Johnny and Brad as well. So if you enjoy our video content, go and check out our podcast, because I think it's a true expression of who we are as people.
This is basically what ends up on the cutting room floor every time I edit a video.
Yeah. 100%.
So this is us. Anyway, happy Friday, Bradley.
Happy Friday.
We'll see you guys on Wednesday and on tomorrow on Friday.
It's
On
confusing,
Friday,
isn't it?
and I can't quite work this out in my head. But have a great weekend. Have a great Thursday, and have a great Monday.
Yeah, love them.
It's only Tuesday and Thursday we've got to fill in. Cheers.
The Bubble and Friday 5pm podcasts are brought to you by the nerds behind YouTube's craft beer channel. You can watch over 400 mini documentaries at youtube.com/the craft beer channel, and if you love what we do, support us via Patreon and get access to merchandise and our amazing Discord forum, a positive and welcoming space for everyone who loves beer, food and homebrewing. Love and beer.